Hi. Okay, special episode only on these two drones or unmanned aerial vehicles. Before I get stuck in and de-sprue them and start really looking at the parts, I was very tempted to do that, but I thought I'd better make a video where we can actually look at the sprue before I've gone and cut it all up. If I can just find that knife that I had here one moment ago. So, let me start with this Reaper, which is apparently also called the Predator B. Now, as I was saying in the previous video, I'm not knowledgeable on these things, but I did a quick little bit of research. So the difference between these two is that the Predator or Reaper is a drone capable of a ground strike. To put that in perspective, that is about the size of a Harvard, a Texan, T6 Texan, fuselage wise. Payload, I was just reading now. Where did that go? The payload is only about 1,700 kilograms. Cruising speed 150 to 170 knots. So it's not a fast aircraft at all. But I mean, you know, it's for its purpose to do sort of long range strikes. And when I say long range, you know, what are they talking about here? 1,000 miles. Maximum operational altitude 50,000 feet. So it's a very capable vehicle. I'll just sort of remind you of its decal set. And I just want to show you the comparison before I do anything else to the Globalhawk drone, the UAV. Before we look at the parts in a little bit more detail. And with the minimal information that I have yet on Kinetic and on these kits, I am very tempted to say that these could be my two picks of the year. Okay, so the Globalhawk is obviously huge and does not carry any weaponry, as I researched there. This is a reconnaissance drone. Now you can look at the size of that, and that's 148. Now apparently it performs a lot of the task of a U2 or TR1. So there they are for size comparison. And I'll do a wing comparison as well. Now, obviously, inside there is a huge amount of electronics. Wing comparison to U2. So this thing has got quite a substantially bigger wingspan than the U2. Very, very interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna... I will cover this U2 in a little bit more detail in another video. I didn't want to focus on it here, but it is it is sort of the aircraft that this Globalhawk covers in its duties. Okay, before I get to the Globalhawk, let's have another look at the sprues here. So I have showed you let's just look at the interior. So this kit is sort of, I mean, it's not a thick plastic, but it's not a thin plastic. It's bordering on being a thick plastic. The good part of that is it probably holds its shape well, and I'm not seeing any sink marks on there. The detail on that bay is okay. Is that a bay or undercarriage? I'm not sure. Okay, so this is the Reaper. Now these horizontal stabilizers are one-piece molds, and they look very good, no warping. I would say that as moldings go, now obviously I can't speak for accuracy, but the moldings look very good, and they've got the so that's to give it its dihedral there, and that does look quite well strengthened. I would say that's probably quite decent. Wing comparison of these two. So that Reaper, obviously being a much smaller aircraft, but is still quite a substantial wing. And if I just compare that to U2 again, just out of interest. So the Reaper is very close to U2 size in wingspan. They have molded the trailing edge in one, so you get a nice thin trailing edge, and they have put the line on the control surface line, so that's very good. So you should be able to get a very nice wing build. As far as warping goes, a little bit, ever so slight curvature, but the plastic feels not highly rigid, which means that just with the gluing process you'd be able to get good wings out of that. They have got this mounting section now. When I build it, I'll be able to say how strong that is. So the one wing slots with these two or three bits into the other one. There is next to no surface detail, probably because it's a composite aircraft. And inside here, the so it has got nav lights and a lens for one of its sensors. So it doesn't have a huge payload, and but you have these stores and pylons. So not a terribly difficult aircraft, and I'm as minimal as what it is. I'm really thinking that these are going to be my best model kits for a long time, just because they're so different to conventional aircraft, difference in proportions. They look well molded, but as someone was saying, it's not clear whether you'll get great fit out of it, so we'll have to see. Now I am seeing, I'm just busy looking on there, just the one leg. which would be under the fuselage there. So then I'm not sure what is on the wingtips to stabilize it, and it's probably long stringy things. I'll have, oh, is it those? Okay, there we go. I'm guessing it's these for the wingtips. And those, I guess those are Hellfire. Okay, so just again out of interest, the Reaper compared to the U2, not that this is a fair comparison because they have different roles, but just so you can get an idea. So that's about 3/4 of a U2 in size. Okay, that's that one. The Globalhawk UAV RQ4B. I'd be interested to know what these designations mean. I'll have to study up a little bit. There is surface detail, but not tons. Again, I'm guessing that it's still composites, but just has more panels because it's so large. We have got one-piece horizontal stabilizers. And a very, very thin trailing edge. That is actually very surprising. You won't, I don't know, I'm looking here. A very, very sharp trailing edge. And even on this main wing, that is amazingly thin. Probably the thinnest that I've seen on any model molding. I mean, it's like a blade. So one would have to take great care there. Again, that I think with these wings, because of this nice curvature that you've got here, which keeps the rigidity. You see that curvature of this wing. When you put on the undersurface, you'll be able to glue in such a way with that, with a little bit of hand pressure, you'll be able to ensure that it stays nice and straight. Now, I don't know if the actual aircraft has drooped when it's just in the hangar. One would have to look at that. The interior of this, I mean, obviously this sort of does lend towards scratch building, but I don't think there's any information out there on what's inside here. But one could, I won't, I'll build it just as is. One could perceivably do some interesting scratch building there, possibly even an engine upgrade. Large flat fuselage underside, tailpipe, so we've got rims, we've got wheels, there's a turbine intake, there's an exhaust ring, undercarriage legs. The moldings look quite acceptable. I would say this looks, fuselage wise, that looks very good. The rest looks average. So apart from wings, which are actually, I'm going to say, very nicely molded and no problems observable, I haven't seen any sink marks. The pin connections to the pieces look well placed and nothing's on the trailing edge, so you're not going to damage the trailing edge there. There's a little breakage, so that tiny pitot or sensor, whatever that is, has broken off there. However, it's highly likely that I would have removed that during build anyway. So you have two sprues with the wings. You have a sprue with all of the rest of the stuff and fuselage underside, and then you have the fuselage halves. So an extremely simple kit actually, and if you were going to do this undercarriage up in that pose, which I'll still have to consider which one I actually do. Oh, this is okay, so this has only got the two flying surfaces there. You've got quite a clean aircraft and next to nothing really, a couple of aerials and sensors. So what you are left with is a lot of, you know, surface, slight tone differentiation, nice decals, nice work on the interior, inlet and exhaust. This decal set I must admit I'm thinking that I would want to do exactly that box art, which means a low-vis US scheme, although the decals are black and not grey for the US. So it's a very simple scheme. I mean, the Japanese one looks slightly interesting with the big red roundel. The Korean one does look slightly interesting with its markings, but I will do the US one. Um, 130-foot wingspan, can stay at altitude over 60,000 feet for 35 hours. And has a payload of 3,000 pounds for various electronic equipment. So I'm going to de-sprue this next and then start test fitting. Currently I'm waiting for parts to dry on the other models that I'm building, but I'm very, very happy with these two models, so I'm actually going to recommend them. I'm not being paid for that, of course. And I'm very tempted to get another Globalhawk myself. There is another scheme that I saw online where the top half of the aircraft, it might have been one of the early or experimental ones, it's sort of divided right in half, and the top half is white and then the bottom half is grey like that, which it would look very, very nice actually. I didn't find a build of this kit. But I did find, I think that there's some other manufacturers that also make it. I didn't look for a build on that one. So that does mean that we can cover it on this channel for what it's worth. Of course, the next step really is to see, I hope it fits well. I really, really hope that so far what I think is a really, really nice kit continues to live up to that. And I don't know when this was created, but it's the drone itself, I believe, is up to 16 years old already. The Globalhawk, at least. I don't know about the Reaper. The Reaper might be older. Just note, by the way, the curvature of the wings there in flight, and I'm guessing this one would actually also end up with some upward curvature. So I'd probably want to hang this up on the ceiling. Probably both of them, because they're large wingspan. I would have no space to put any of them, including the U2. If you've got any comments, questions and so on. I'm not sure which one I'll do first. The Globalhawk is the easier one. Well, it's got less stuff, more glue area, and a little bit more attention to the long wings. But I mean, they're both very well molded. You've got a bit more on the weaponry on this one to do, but both very, very nice. I think that's about it for this. I suppose I could end with just giving you an opinion on the quality of the instructions. I mean, the box art looks great, the boxing. Now, I got these secondhand, and I'm not sure of the new prices. If they are well priced, then I certainly do recommend it. You know, they cover the color schemes in an acceptable way. It is black and white. They're not very complicated. Oh, nope, correction. That's the undercarriage. Okay. They're not on, it's not on the wingtip. Okay, so those things which I thought were maybe on the wingtip does actually have tricycle undercarriage. Is it tricycle? Yes. There's the nose wheel out. And it's got, for what it's worth, a little write-up. So, you know, it could have been nicer with a little bit of color information, but I can't complain about what they have presented. And if the kits are actually cheap to get, then I certainly do recommend that. The Globalhawk is just so impressive with its size. So there we go. Globalhawk, my recommendation of the year. Happy modeling. Cheers.